Alright, we're gonna start here in just a second.
A hatred so deep, an enemy of life itself. This is what the prophet saw, what Vanu warned us about. Vanu said nothing about conquering the non-believers.
But Jorah, who are we to say the prophet is wrong? If others don't believe, maybe they must be forced.
In decades of fighting, how many people believed in Vanu because you held a gun to their head?
Jorah, you must hide. They will not tolerate all the things you say. You will not get a fair trial.
If you truly believe in this, you will not harm any of them. This is my burden to bear, and yours will come soon enough. But for now, live another day. Spread the word.
See a lot of familiar names by now. Pandemonium, Flash, Tonus. Is it Tonus or Tonus? Tonus. I actually don't know. I just always pronounce it Tommy. I don't know Martinez or Medlock. Whoops. Your logo's on top of my face.
Just as intended, I guess.
Just as intended. Hold on, let's fix that up just a little bit. Okay, you go over there. I go over here, and now all is right with the world.
Perfect.
What's up, everybody? StratSide 21. We've done 21 of these things already, Flash, before you.
What? I'm so late? Holy shit.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. I'm happy to be here at all. Like, I'm not a podcast guy. I think you will probably notice.
Hey, man, it's all good. I did not know how to do this either. I started years ago for like an esports podcast, the Esports Professionals Network. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth into doing podcasting and interviews and stuff like that. That was years ago. But now we're doing it pretty much PlanetSide exclusive. And this should probably be the last one for the year. So, Flash, you're closing out the year with me. So this
we have a year review.
Yeah, a year review. I know there's a bunch of other people doing year reviews. Batty, I think, is going to do one if he hasn't nixed it. Lex is going to do one. Other people, Kami's probably going to do one. I imagine Sirius would too. But this StratSide is all about Flashyy. You, man, and video development and how that's connected to the Echoes of Vanu, Season 1 and 2. Season 2, Episode 1 released today, 2 hours ago. So I've already watched it, 4 or 5 times. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm a little biased, but
Don't want to know how often I watched it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine, since you're the one who animated, how many times you've seen it over and over again. I used to produce music, and I must have listened to my own song, I don't know, a couple hundred times before I felt it was ready. Always seeing like a little tweak I need to make, and then rewatching it, see how it flows. But we'll get into all that. So this is all about video development. What does it take? Flashyy, as you all can see, is a very talented video developer and animator, and he animated the Echoes of Vanu. Echoes, for short. So we're going to get into the depths of that. First, go over our disclaimer, as per normal, the scope of the talk, what it is, what it isn't, introductions, who is Flashyy, and then get into the discussion, which will cover video development in general, and then specifically the Trials of Vanu, which is episode 1 of season 2. So, disclaimer. Flashyy and I, we speak for ourselves. That's pretty much it. Flashyy, do you speak for anyone other than yourself?
The entirety of the Vanu sovereignty.
There we go. So Flashyy speaks for the entirety of the Vanu sovereignty, and I guess I speak on behalf of all the pink vanguards in the game. That is the R-Heat turret, which I now use pretty much the Fafnir, which is a AP skin, whereas this R-Heat is a heat skin. But yeah, I still claim it. It's my number one. So let's get into introductions. I'm Lanzer. I've been playing since beta. I'm a casual main battle tank mainer. I also do main construction, and I do a lot of stuff like podcasting, PlanetSide battles, and stuff like that in years past. Flashyy, who are you? Who do you represent? And what's your story?
Well, I represent myself, of course. So yeah, when did I start playing? I think like in 2K12. I guess I started not in beta. I also didn't touch PlanetSide 1 at all. I'm more of a casual gamer on PlanetSide. I play Counter-Strike quite competitively, not in a higher league or something, but I take it seriously enough to put a lot of time into it. And yeah, I'm a main CQC bolt infiltrator. So yeah.
Wait, did you just say you're a main CQC infiltrator?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I have a special hatred for your type of player, because just last night I was at the Crown. Was it? I think so. We on Connery, we had the Crown, and I'm a main battle tank, so now I can't do remote deployment. I have to run, and I ran to a terminal, and guess what happened? I got knifed in the back while I was trying to pull a Vanguard by a CQC infill. So, congratulations! Everyone hates you.
Yeah, of course, I know. I get a lot of toxic messages from time to time.
I bet. I don't really message them at all. It's just, if you get a good kill on me, you do. The worst thing, though, is right when I pull the Vanguard and you kill me, I lose all the nanites and the Vanguard, and I'm dead.
Yep. I'm sorry in the name of all CQC boats, but it's just a lot of fun wasting your nanites.
Yeah, it is part of the game, so I don't bemoan it, but I hate you guys. So cool. And you didn't play beta, you said?
No, actually not. I actually haven't heard about PlanetSide, well, for quite a long time, until it came out, and then 1 month later, a friend told me about it, and we just started playing in like the holidays.
Gotcha.
And since then I always just stopped playing and installed it again, and then my PC wasn't good again, and then I couldn't play even if I wanted to. It was kind of a wild ride, to be honest, with this game.
And you're Vanu?
I'm Vanu all the way. My friend chose the faction. At first I was like, yeah, I'd rather play Terror Republic, man. They sound kind of cool. I did like the weapons for a long time, but at some point I grew into it basically. Then
gotcha.
Then when Escalation came around, like a German outfit was formed. I got a new PC, and it was Vanu on my main character, Cobalt. and yeah, it was fitting perfectly, and then I was back in the game.
So you're a Cobalt Vanu main. What outfit are you in?
Jimsy, GMSY,
Jimsy.
German Sovereignty.
Okay,
I think it's I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the biggest like German-speaking outfit out there.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, ein bisschen.
Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, Flashyy and I have been. I don't know. We haven't been friends for more than I think a year, but I think we took to each other pretty fast. And the story goes that I saw your Echoes of Vanu season 1, and it was killer. Absolute.
Thank you.
Absolute killer. I watched it a number of times. I was just impressed with just how professional the animation was. And I noticed that the dialogue was, I don't know, let's call it, I knew that English wasn't your first language.
Well, if you haven't noticed yet.
Yeah, so I had just finished writing 2 novels myself and published them on Amazon. And I was in the middle of doing some screenplay stuff for something else, and I thought, well, I love PlanetSide, and Flashy's clearly really good at animation. And then that's when I reached out to you and said, hey, do you mind if I work with you for the next season? And you were like instant, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with just how of a warm welcome that you gave me onto the team. And from then on, we started writing. We scripted out season 2 of the actual season, which was something I didn't get though. You call it Echoes. Is that the name of the whole series or season 2 or what?
So the movie is called The Echoes of Vanu, and my idea was that just like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which started with this animated movie, we then have this series which takes place right after and tells the story, the rest of the story, and this series is just called Echoes. So just like a short version of it, because calling the series The Echoes of Vanu is a little bit long if you ask me.
Yeah,
it would just look weird in titles and so on.
No, I agree.
So I just decided to go for Echoes.
I think Echoes is probably a better way to encapsulate that.
It also is like a short, fitting, title that slams into your face, and you can basically just put it in your title, and it won't take up too much space.
Yeah,
and it kind of summarizes like what this is about, so it's kind of perfectly fitting as well.
I really like the Echoes of Vanu because it tells you it's PlanetSide, but Echoes I think is probably better for branding.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, we could call it Vanu, but kind of.
We wrote out season 2 in a Word doc, and I just installed in Google Docs. I just installed a screenplay formatter, and then we went to town. The original, I'm going to show the original screenplay that I wrote was 87 pages, 15,000 words, and I thought it was awesome. I still think the original is hilarious, but then Flashyy came in with a reality check, and you said, "Yo, I don't want to be spending 5 years editing this thing." So
it would be a feature-length movie, basically. Like,
yep, I went ham. So then we settled at we need to cut that in half. So we went from 87 pages to 40 pages, which was, to me, it was brutal because it was just like so many rich scenes now had to be simplified. But at the end of the day, I think we came up with a really, really awesome story. And
cutting things down also is always a good idea, because if you tell a story and you have like a lot of expanding ideas and you go to this tangent and another tangent, you basically have like a lot of stuff going on which is not important to like the main story. And if we like cut it down, even if we cut it down maybe a little bit too much in this case, we still have the core of the story, and in this case also all important elements, and not like too much, which like kind of, you know, deviates off course or something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this original one, like I said, 87 pages. I just went, I don't know, we had a lot of inspiration. But before that, you and I, we worked out a whole scene map, which I won't show the whole thing because it can reveal some stuff. But we went through season 1 and we just mapped out here what happened in season 1. These little blocks, it's just the flow of the scenes. And then we went to work on season 2 and we thought, well, what can we do to make this story interesting? What sort of scenes? And you and I came up with some pretty cool stuff that we actually tied to lore. So we looked up kind of the old lore encyclopedia and the old episodes that were written on the website, the little action scenes, like when the flash war happened between NC and TR, the Vanu and the creepy people trying to abduct kids and everything. And so we just connected it to the story. So it's as pretty lore accurate as I could make it.
And it's also not that easy to have like something accurate to PlanetSide lore, because it's so weirdly constructed and kind of complicated to get into, because it's all like packed into these smaller articles. And even if you have like an overview of the events that take place, there's still always something missing or something is not 100% correct. And they're always like, even if you tell it lore accurately, there are still people that say, yeah, why don't you do it this way and this way? And then think like, yeah, but they are not alive anymore. Like even we had like a big mistake when we had like the first scene map, where I think Orexus Animus noticed that, this character is already dead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We're talking about, what was it? No, I don't want to give anything away, because I was thinking about, talking about the whole genealogy thing. I don't want to give the name away either, but when we get to it, I think we should talk about how just far in depth we went. We mapped out someone's whole family tree. We went like, I don't know, 1,000 years. It was ridiculous.
I think it's like 200 years, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I'm looking at the slide now, but I don't want to touch it because then everyone will see it.
Yeah, I don't have the years in my head anymore, because it's.
And it was really only just to figure out what name are we calling that person, and that was it. I laugh every time I think about that, because in the grand scheme of things, it was a small part of the story. But we went at that point. Once Araxis pointed that out to us, we were like, "Yeah, whoops."
At this point, it's a small part of the story.
So now we're at 40 pages, and this is the. I don't think I'm showing this the final shareable version, so it might be a little bit different. But actually, you can start to see kind of this.
That's different.
What's that?
Actually, it's quite different now, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think especially the ending, because the first scene of episode 2,
you changed the ending.
Yeah, I pushed it into episode 1. The scene with the warden and Tyler in the end. It was actually supposed to be in episode 1.
Oh, okay.
And I just changed because I liked it there.
Okay, let's so that was the original, right? Okay, here's the final shareable. So the final shareable is the logo, and what we'll do is Flashyy and I are going to go through episode 1 here of season 2, and we're gonna go through it and we're gonna talk about it, what we were thinking at the time. I'll have the screenplay here all showing for us, so you can follow along as it was written in screenplay format while you're watching it with us. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, you ready, Flash? All right, so we've got.
You have my logo on my face again.
Again. Sure do. Just going to move that over there. And then I am not you, but fixed. Then let's go to video and turn all that down. Cool. So we're now using Discord's watch together thing, which I think is going to work out pretty well, but let's see. And we'll test it here for a second.
A hatred so deep.
So there's that first part.
An enemy of life itself.
So there's structure in the background.
What's that?
There's structure in the background, you see?
Yeah.
Do you realize what it is?
It looks like a warp gate.
Not completely incorrect, but actually...
Let's go back a little bit. I think we saw better. So that is going to have a bigger reveal later on. But yes, that is intentional. That one actually was harder to figure out than I thought. When we're trying to describe what it is, how do you describe something like that? I don't know, but I don't know.
You have to use some metaphors, and then I have to figure out what these metaphors actually mean visually. What are these? This I think it was like a wave of fire or cold fire or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So what I wrote here was an explosion with the same colors as the shattered occurs in the celestial stars, followed by a cold fire. So cool, I can write that, but then Flashyy has to actually make that real. So this is what you came up with. It was what was the very beginning was, there we go. So out of space comes this
not an explosion, by the way,
of bugs or stuff.
It's a particle wave, let's put it that way.
Okay, right. A particle wave, and then there's a battle going on. Something's exploding. We don't know what yet.
You also see a lot of, if you go back to Araxis, you can see a lot of structures on the planet, which look a bit like Coruscant from Star Wars.
Gotcha. Is that where you got your inspiration from?
Of course.
Yeah. So then battle's going on. It's not clear exactly what's happening here yet, but we do make that clear not too far away. And so what is that structure in the background?
Well, it's the world anchor. What lies beneath the world anchor? The thing that lies beneath the shattered warp gate.
There's something that's beneath the shattered warp gate?
The new structure after the warp gate shattered.
Oh. Is that in the game?
Of course. Hello? Haven't you traveled to it yet?
No.
Or maybe you don't realize because it's destroyed, but actually, it's kind of destroyed. It's where all these floating rocks are above it. You know?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been where the floating rocks are.
Exactly. That's the same structure, but in the game files, I found a version of it being not destroyed.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah, it exists, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't reveal that yet.
I know that there are if you go into different circles, there's artwork that's available, pure 3D modeling artwork that you can use for stuff. I've seen different leaks to it in different places, but sounds like. So you found the structure that's beneath the SMU warp gate, and then you included it. So
not
automatically,
destroyed.
You can see just how connected this is to the game. That's funny. So there's the structure. So there's clearly a battle took place here.
And if you look up, it still is.
And then we get to modern day.
Yeah.
And Jorah's in the background.
Yeah. The geometry of the scene is the complete same.
Yeah, so modern day, this is what it looks like today, that we're fighting on.
This is what the prophet saw.
And then Jorah comes
what
in.
Vanu warned us about. Vanu said nothing about conquering the non-believers.
But Jorah, who are we to say
So
the
these are
prophet
the
is
new
wrong?
Vanu soldiers.
If others don't believe, Maybe they must be forced.
In decades of fighting, how many people believed in Vanu because you held a gun to their head?
Jorah, you must hide. They will not tolerate all the things you say. You will not get a fair trial.
If you truly believe in this, you will not harm any of
Actually,
them.
I gotta say,
This
is probably visually my least favorite scene, to be honest. Like, because I had such a great idea of how I'm going to do this forest, etc. And this was like the first scene I did in Unreal Engine, like ever, even before like this small test thing. And I just ran into so many issues, man. You can't believe it. Especially when it came to lighting. Like, I just placed a normal light. I was like, okay, this is too bright, this is too dark. And when I made the light a little bit too dark, it had like weird patches of, yeah, can't describe it really. It was really glitchy all the way, and I just hated it. I hated my entire life when I did this scene, and I still can't get myself to love this scene due to that.
Gotcha. His teeth, though.
Yeah.
He's got really bright teeth.
Yeah, that's
He's
also
like
a
this
problem.
the whole time.
I just can't understand how the light inside the mouth it just doesn't get dark in there, and I can't get it to be dark in there. I just don't know what to do.
That's okay.
I tried everything because you have like these one-sided textures in Unreal, and you have two-sided textures. Not different
of all
textures,
the things
just
that could
like
go wrong in
material.
this scene, that is the least of it.
Yeah, of course, but it was also a thing that I noticed. I tried to fix, and I just put a lot of work into it, and I was just like, F it in the end, because you can only invest so much time into details like this. At some point, it's just going to be ready.
Yeah.
And then maybe find a solution for the next one.
So the new Vanu symbol, which are those two little symbols on his chest, left and right. How did you come up with that?
I actually just played around the Blender, to be honest. It's not even like a 2D artwork in theory. It's like 3D. I just rented it out in 2D. I was actually like tracing the Vanu logo in Blender, recreating it in 3D, and then applied a couple of modifiers to it, like a decimate modifier, which just basically like takes away a little bit of the geometry and some other stuff I came up with. And then this thing came out, and I was like, holy shit, that actually looks kind of cool. And then, yeah. It also is like a good combination of like old Vanu and whatever the new guys represent.
Yeah, so that symbol right there on her chest, that is the new Vanu symbol that we just introduced into the season.
Yeah. Not only do we introduce the VS finally, we also introduced the new VS.
Right.
Vanu.
Yeah, so this is sort of a little bit of a departure from the lore, because as you can already tell, Jorah, who's our new character, is talking about what the prophet saw and how he believes that the Vanu, when they gave their visions, didn't say go conquer everything, which is, if you're into the lore, then you know that is what Vanu said, and we know that by what Briggs was able to get.
I don't think we know that by, in fact, that they said that. I think we only know that Briggs had this vision that just said Vanu, and then he had another vision, and then he killed himself. I don't think they said conquer all.
No. So Briggs didn't actually kill himself. There is those those later scenes.
In a way.
There was those later scenes that were written by PlanetSide 2, where he had survived, and he was the reason why the Vanu believed that they should conquer everything, because they had to be brought into enlightenment by force. And that's how the Vanu just came out of nowhere. And like that trailer where the NC and the TR are fighting, and then the Vanu just kind of come out of nowhere, that is because of Briggs. When Briggs got the vision,
I misremember then. I thought it was all your idea.
No. That was an actual article written by the PlanetSide 2 writers.
Okay, I know that there's an article about Briggs and talking about his work at this station, and then revealing that he is actually, in fact, the revived or whatever Briggs. But I actually misremembered that, in fact. Probably a bit too far.
Yeah, I had to hunt deep for that one because they started deleting them after I think maybe a year and a half ago. I guess it had like a 5 or 6 year archive deletion, whatever. So I had to go back into and find them. I used VSU Fandom. I used a bunch of different sites and figuring it out. But yeah, I don't remember if Briggs had faked his death or he had failed suicide or whatever. But
I think it was written in the law article that he in fact killed himself and woke up in a new body or so. But I'm not 100% sure. The time we wrote this is like 1.5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's been a while now.
It's been quite a while. Holy shit.
So we were trying to figure out how do we create a story with Jorah and the new Vanu, and that's where we thought of, well, what if Jorah is a pacifist and he doesn't believe in the conquering Vanu? Then we have someone who's in opposition. So that's where this came into play. And that's where you have been saying here, if you truly believe in this, then you won't harm them.
Mm-hmm. Also, he's kind of inspired by Martin Luther, like this German guy who was part of the Catholic Church and said, this thing with buying yourself out of sins is not a good idea. Let's change it, maybe.
Yeah. Martin Luther kicked off the Protestant Revolution.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. You will not harm any of them. This is my burden to bear, and yours will come soon enough. But for now, live another day.
So it's stuff like this where our new Vanu 2 painfully watches as Jorah turns his back to them and is reluctant to leave. While that's a written part of it, you wouldn't have known that unless you could see their faces or whatever, but this is how Flashyy has to bring that to life. So we'll watch that part again. So this is him.
He's not really reluctant, to be honest, but she is definitely. She's the more reluctant part.
This is my burden to bear.
In this case.
And yours will come soon enough. But for now, live another day.
So he says, live another day. And then he doesn't actually turn around here. So that's where the animation looks different than what actually happens.
Yeah.
And this was, to me, my favorite one. This is what you did in your trailer or your call to voice actors. This is my favorite line.
What do you mean? Spread the word?
Yeah.
This is your favorite line?
Yeah.
Because it's the only line not from you, or what?
Because it's the only line of what?
It's the only line that's not from you, or why?
Was it? Did you write this one?
It's the only line in this entire script which I made up, actually.
I did not know that.
In the first version, it was just let me think about it. It was there's another way. He said there's another way to himself. And I was like, nah, it's not fitting. I want spread the word or something like that. And I just told the voice actor, can you record this line, the actual line, which was
I said there's
another way. And then
way.
I told him, can you also record that? And then we tested.
Yeah, I see now. I wrote down there's a better way to himself.
By the way, the encoder, the voice actor of Jorah, absolutely nailed Jorah. Like, honestly.
Yeah, he killed it. Who is that again?
The encoder. And man, he already sent in this line for the next episodes. Absolute banger stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm already really impressed with Jorah. I like the voice actor. So yeah, I wrote there's a better way, and then so that you substituted that for spread the word. I didn't know you did that.
I think we just discussed this when we wrote it quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, probably. Well, that might be, but I love this line. I really
Yeah,
loved that.
thank you.
I think you did better with what I had written. So this was the only line that you changed in the whole thing?
I think I gave Valkyr the new Vanu 2 another like a small speech. So she has a bigger part.
Gotcha.
But I think that's it. I just extended it a little bit.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, so now what we have is this is where the Vanu found their little gathering group. The other people ran away. Jorah's the only one left, and that's supposed to be a scythe, right? But there in the middle, top,
A Valk.
a Valkyrie.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. I can't tell from here.
Maybe it's because of the brightness, but yeah, it's definitely a Valkyrie.
Yeah. So a loud engine erupts. A bright spotlight is cast onto Jorah's position. Oh, a Valk covers. Okay, so I did write that one. A Valk covers as more of his soldiers rush to him, and that's where this is. There they are.
You mean in the script? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I had the script right underneath the credits or the actual window. So there I am. Dark Texas. The encoder. Okay, so there's Jorah.
Keith is one of the judges.
Keith. There's Sirius. Sirius is Commander Sirius. Kami is...
STM is also one of the judges.
Who's Kami? He's the infill.
Yep. We'll call him Flynn, but internally we could just call him Kami.
Flynn,
or do we
right.
call him Kami in the script as well?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's true. Where we could have just called him Flynn, we just called him Kami because no one ever calls him by his name Flynn.
Yeah, true. He's
it was just
Kami
easier
now.
to know that it was Kami.
Yeah, we could change it basically, and nothing would change in the story because his name
That's
was never
true.
said out loud. Maybe we should ask him if he wants to be called Kami. Who knows?
Yeah. Did he gave everything already, or is he still working on it?
He's still working on it.
Okay. I know he's been really, really busy, but I'll keep on making him. I'll keep on making him.
Let me keep doing it. You don't have to annoy people.
I'm gonna make him. I'm gonna guilt trip him.
No, don't guilt trip him. He's doing it for free, man. Like all
I know
people.
we're all doing it for free. It's fun. It's just a good time. All right. So then we've got the credits going. Josh Medlock, and then Echoes, that awesome logo. And here's the start. So that's supposed to be at Warp Gate, right?
Nope.
No,
It's
Biolab.
nope. It's an entirely different structure, actually. I think we called it the what did we call it? It's episode 2. The name, the word of this thing.
The name
The
of episode 2.
Conclave. We didn't call it
Episode
Conclave.
2 is what is here shall remain.
Yeah, I think we gave it a name in episode 2, but I don't remember it. It's like a different structure. It's supposed to be like a modern church, basically. It's more like a temple, you know? We have this island, which I always thought of the Vanu having their headquarters on like an island, which has a lot of nature and like, you know, it's a little bit silent, off war, and, you know, a bit more natural because of this connection to the planet and, you know, the Vanu. And I thought this structure would be a nice like mix between like modern Vanu stuff, which is like you know this purple shield around it, and you know all the metal parts of the structure, but also like a little bit more ancient religious kind of, which is like represented by all the stone and rocky parts, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. More stuff. And for me, I can take the easy route and just say inside of a courtroom. And you have to like figure out the zoom in and the settings and how the flow works, and then you have to create it from scratch. So
yeah, this court building was completely from scratch, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
what it looks like.
Basically thought about, okay, how would like a court building or a temple where the Vanu have these kinds of meeting look like, and you know, what does the building represent about them? What would they build if they had like what certain resources to them, you know, on this island? So yeah, it was kind of a long thought process of how this was going to look.
Well, Props to you, man. That's why I think you're the MVP, because I didn't have to explain that at all.
I mean, it would be way too much to explain for a screenplay.
Yeah,
So I think it kind of it's more like in the art direction department usually.
Fade in.
Fade in. There's a court building.
I just put interior NC courtroom day, but then you had the actual.
Yeah, I thought it would be fitting to have a montage before it to connect the scenes together with the music.
Yeah, cool.
And have like similar actions going on at the same time.
So then they're walking him to the courtroom. They probably did call it the conclave or something.
Yeah, this is my favorite shot, by the way.
When I first saw this, I thought that was a person. That's supposed to be a statue, though, isn't it?
It's a statue, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like some, I don't know, unique skinned infel just chilling.
Nah, it's just a statue. It's actually my favorite shot in the entire Echoes as of yet.
Well, but it's pretty cool.
Statue, yeah. I should have probably like decimated the geometry of that thing a little bit, so it looks a bit like just an infiltrator with a stone texture slapped on it.
Right.
And it is exactly that. But I decimated it a little bit, so it doesn't have like all the edges and stuff, but it still has way too many of them.
Yeah.
So I probably should have just used something that's called remesh, and then it would have probably looked a little bit better. But yeah, I still think it looks good.
when he walks back out, then it becomes very obvious that it was a statue. But right now, I'm like, oh, we got a guard. We got a guard at the conclave thing.
Yep. I mean, they have guards still, but...
And then there we go. Here's our first inkling of now we're connecting back to the old storyline, which is now... but you did the VS conclave. Oh, there's that word, conclave. You did the VS first, and then you brought in Tyler.
Yep.
Why'd you switch it?
I think it wasn't really like a conscious choice of storytelling level. Like, we first want to have this, and then introduce that. It was more like a choice of me finding the right shots to fit together in the montage, you know? Like, feeling... I actually cut it in the way which was before, and then I realized that it wasn't working out as well as I thought it would be. And then I was okay, when I have, like, this VS chord introduction shot first, of this, like, more dreamy scenery, because I didn't have a VS NC outside shot from, like, the outside building, then it would make more sense, because usually you have, like, this outside shot, and then you have, like, these inside shots, you know? So it just felt way more natural, you know? And I didn't want to have like an inside NC shot and then an outside VS shot. So I thought, then just do the VS shots first. Then once he gets inside, we also have the inside NC shots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's the kind of stuff that you don't think about when writing. Even I didn't think of it at all. But then once you actually get to the editing, you realize, okay, this is probably better this way, and this just works better.
Well, when I see it goes back and forth, starting with VS, I think it makes a lot more sense now when it connects to the initial scene, and then now that you see where he's ended up, Jorah. Now we switch back to, well, where did Tyler go? And now, bam, here we are, Tyler.
Yeah. One could argue that there should probably be another introduction scene for Tyler into the story, but I think it works well enough because we only have like 8 minutes of screen time and so on. Another scene would be quietly useless because the stakes
are another 2 years editing, yeah.
Because I think the stakes and the why he's in front of the court is a bit self-explanatory. So
yeah. So now we have back to the Vanu, and what is this? Sokar's Legion?
Flags. We got SKL. We got Jimsy on the left.
How did that end up there?
Wait. We got Trident and we got PSET.
There's 3?
4.
4? Okay, so there's SKL. Oh, I see. There's Trident. Dang. All right, and then who's this one on the left?
PSET, I think.
Okay,
Oh, you mean on the very left? That's Jimsy. On the very left is Jimsy. The second to last one on the left is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see now. Hold on, it was there for a second.
So basically, I made a short call to some outfits. Hey, or it was not like a call directly to outfits. I asked some people, hey, do you want your logos in there? And some people sent their logos, and I put them in there. I also have some NC and TR logos already waiting to be used. And if you are like an outfit representative and want your logo in there, like to be represented in the story, just send me a Discord DM and I'll put it in our Twitter DM.
You got the Devil Dogs one, right? I gave you that one.
Yeah, I got it, of course.
All right, now I see it. So we have Trident, Sokars. The third one is who?
PSET or PSET.
PSET. Okay, was that you? Your outfit?
No. It's another outfit from Cobalt,
okay.
I think.
And the fourth one. The fourth one is who?
Jimsy, which is my outfit.
Jimsy, gotcha.
Or the one I'm in.
So you snuck that one in. You snuck them in there.
Yeah, of course, man.
Well, shout out to Sokar's Legion. That was StratSide 18, I think, 17, when they did the Extra Life charity. Orby.
Yeah,
and friends.
Orby sent me.
Oh, Orby did? Yeah, I love Orby, man. He's a go-getter. He was very driven and very gracious.
Yeah,
I liked.
Is he still at SKL though?
Yeah.
Because when I checked his Discord aliases one time, he was like in different outfits, but maybe I was mistaken. Or
well, I don't know. Unless things changed in the past month, my StratSide with him wasn't. It was like a month and a half ago. So I don't know.
I think
So there we are. Now they're walking into the courtroom. So if you don't remember what happened in season 1, at the very end, when Tyler left to go do his, gallivanting across Vision Land, North Point Station was destroyed, but via an orbital strike. And then we had I'd forgotten, but Archie was the attacking general.
Yep, and he was also the one who killed Lysa's sister.
Oh wait, that was him?
Yeah, of course, it was him.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that was the same character.
But maybe you've forgotten because I definitely told you.
Archie, but, yeah. You shouldn't be doing that stuff, man.
Bad boy, man. Bad boy.
Oh, that's funny. Now that I know that, we'll have to write that in there. I'd forgotten all about it. So yeah, here he is.
Also, you can see the differences in like interior design of the buildings. Like the NC building is like
it's much more dignified. It's like business.
It's a mix of these PlanetSide textures of these like steel and whatever you have on the streets. How is it called? And a mix of these like wooden tables and benches, which are, by the way, all self-made. So it's a bit like a mix of an American court and something from PlanetSide, basically. That's my intention.
Gotcha. Okay. So here he is, and this is where the court case is about to start. And probably, this is my second favorite scene, was this back and forth and the judgment of both of them. I enjoyed writing this one second best. First best is when they're at when the fight happens at the prison. I can't.
Spoil it, man.
I'm bummed. I'm bummed that we had to reduce that one from, I don't know what it was, 20, 30 pages down to like 5. It was a rich fight. I enjoyed.
By the way, I really enjoy like the differences you put into the languages of like both these judges, because these characters just seem so vivid, so vibrant. You know what I mean? They are so like alive, and they feel like they fit exactly into their faction. The language they use, the way the voice actors interpret the lines, and how they basically perform them it's just so fitting, in my opinion. Like the judges did such a great job.
Yeah, the voice actors, I definitely feel like they were the faction that they were portraying, and the dialogue itself wasn't actually that hard. Having played the game for so long, you kind of, will you not overcome this rebel? Like, it's just by this point, the voices if you've played the game, and some of it I just looked back at the old articles that they had written, and they their voices were distinct. I can't recall who the lore writer was, but in some cases I just used some of those same verbs and just kind of kept with it. So let's watch it. Let's go through it. So they're on trial right now, both of them, for their actions.
Your proselytizing of inferior dogma has defiled the prophet's vision.
The way to unification is peace.
The prophet has revealed the way of Vanu. It demands no less than total assimilation.
Never in the history of our profitable venture has anyone...
You cut.
Yep.
Where did you go? Where did you
I changed a lot of the cuts.
Oh, I see. I see.
Because of the flow of the
you went
scenes.
back up here.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I went back down again, and then back there, and this and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, as I said, it was a lot of editing choices that had to be made. And I think the scene just flows way better this way when you actually see it.
I want to see him reservedly nod. I'm anxiously waiting for that to happen.
Does he though? I think he just looks down in sadness.
Come before this court who so recklessly caused a heavy loss of resources.
I take full responsibility.
But Dr. Henry Briggs...
In this court, you will address such a reverend figure as the Prophet of Vanu.
All right, now that was a sneaky thing on our part. I knew I had to somehow establish, especially since this was a late ad, that the Prophet of Vanu, the person who is, saying that we have to conquer the other factions through violence, we had to connect it to Henry Briggs so that everyone knew that he was still alive. And that's how we did that. We had Jorah say Henry Briggs, and then the judges were like, "How dare you say his name?"
I mean, he really doesn't have a name that represents a prophet,
Yeah.
I mean, Jorah has more of a name that would represent a prophet, probably, in my eye.
Yeah, Jorah. I don't even remember how we came up with that name. Was it you or I? I think it was me.
You. I don't know why you wrote it Jorah, and everyone who I sent it to was always calling him Jorah, and even I was calling him Jorah, and then we said, "No, it's Jorah," and I was like, "Oh, then why don't you write it that way?"
I don't know why I spelled it like that. I don't even remember how I came up with the name.
Maybe you were watching Game of Thrones back then. Who knows?
I don't know. I think what I did was I Google searched unique names, and I don't know. I might have seen Jorah's. I don't remember now. But yeah, the opening line for the NC judge, for both of them, and the VS judge, that was the key to differentiating their voices. Where the NC judge would say, "Never in the history of our profitable venture." So now you're talking business. Whereas the VS judge is, you're proselytizing of inferior dogma. Now you're talking about religious cult-like stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and it also kind of shows how the NC handles their priorities,
Yeah.
The first thing the judge mentions is not, you got a lot of people killed. The first thing the guy mentions is, but the prophets.
The loss of resources. That's how, that's a lot of militaries use that jargon too, like resources, allocation of resources, which means
also
manpower.
Very fitting to the NC.
Yeah.
And the business forward aspect of them, basically. They are like a business unit more than they are maybe freedom fighters, who knows?
Right, yeah, we might have to. There might be another new Vanu sort of thing for the NC that's coming. I don't really know, but this kind of heavy leaning on resources and profits, and sometimes doesn't really equate to freedom. But we're not there yet in the story, so. And then Tyler says,
"It's also, by the way, it's not supposed to be harsh social commentary or anything. It's just science fiction." That you all know.
Yeah, just so everyone knows that I don't have an agenda. I didn't write this to be look at today's age and all these kids. It was just fitting the dialogue to the game to create a story that was interesting. That's all this is. That's all this is. I just needed words that fit the lore. Profitable venture, resources, proselytizing, inferior dogma, defile. All these things fit a general theme.
Yeah.
The prophet himself spoke of the warm nature of the Vanu. Surely such enlightened beings wouldn't have required us to solely rely on conquest to unite Araxis.
So that was a line I took from the lore, where he talked about the prophet himself spoke of the warm nature of Vanu. I think that was a direct quote from one of the articles when Henry Briggs revealed himself to the scientists, which actually started the Vanu sovereignty. He talked about the warmness of them or something like that. And so I used that as a foundation to for Jorah to go out on his activism.
Destruction of conglomerate.
Go ahead.
No, I really like these small nods to the lore we have inserted into the movie. Like also in later episodes, we have we actually show is. I'm not going to spoil that, but we have a lot of these nods that when you read the lore articles, you will find aspects of them in this series.
Yeah, I reread all of them. I think 2 or 3 times and then I had you and we have this document that links to everything, and that way I can always go back and be like, what is it that they said about this again, or who said what, or who mentioned this? Someone said something about the fight at I think it was Howling Pass or whatever when the Flash War started. Like, who was that person? What was their description? Like, all of that. A lot of these things play into the story more than people might realize. We went ham on this thing. Yeah,
it's still, even if you go ham about PlanetSide lore, you still get things wrong. Like earlier, we had this discussion where I forgot something, and it's still kind of hard to maintain an overview about all these things because they are just so spread apart, and sometimes they are also vaguely specific, weirdly specific at certain points, and weirdly vague at other points. And so it's kind of I'm wondering, is it more science fiction or is it more science fantasy at some point? Because the Vanu represent more like a science fantasy part of the story, and on the other hand you have all this rebirthing technology and the warping technology and stuff, which is more like science fiction with all the nanites and stuff, how they try to explain it.
Yeah, I would say it's science fiction only because of the human element, and the scientific rebirthing technology is more underpinning than the visions. It's this, we haven't quite yet revealed what that is, and that could just be a highly advanced technical, species or whatever, which would put it back squarely into the science fiction part.
That's true.
Whereas fantasies Game of Thrones and alternate universes. This is in the future.
You're right.
Anyway, that's just my opinion, but I think we're
in a way you're right, because we also have these, as I said, a lot of trying to explain things with logical concepts like nanites going on, which is very, very science fiction-y. Whereas in sci-fi, science fantasy, you can just write whatever you want, and it's just that way, like in Star Wars with the Force and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to piece together because the original writers for this, they explained a little bit of the background, more than I thought when I reread it. But there's still so much that I have to explain, that I have to think up and figure out, what is really behind all this.
It's not a J.J. Abrams mystery box. It's a mystery cargo container. Honestly.
It was really hard to try and figure some of this out, because I have a pet peeve. I need things to make sense. I hate reading, watching all this stuff and be like, that there's no way in the real world, if that were real, that would happen that way. It blows my mind. It makes me really angry. So that's why we spent a lot of time on this thing, so that it would make sense. If Echoes were real life to us, it would go down something like this.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. You won't see random magicians flying out and plot armor, and some things are kind of Game of Thrones.
Well, I mean, Game of Thrones season 1 to 6, okay? That was good. Let's ignore the rest.
And then here's the judge talking about, again, the whole, business thing.
property. The death of NC soldiers, a defeat so unprofitable, our insurance policy won't cover it.
And that to me was the clinch. When you boil it down to an insurance policy, yeah, I think that probably makes my top 10 favorite lines in the season.
Yeah, it's definitely a great line. I just love how this line is also emphasized by him just punching the table. It just
did I write that in?
I think you did.
Our policy won't cover it. I think I wrote it in the original one, but it's out now.
Oh. Yeah, I think it was in the screenplay, or did I make it up to emphasize the line? One way around. It was definitely used to emphasize this line because it's kind of important because it's so good.
Yeah.
You will work until this debt is paid.
I know I can never right the wrongs I've made, but give me the chance to find out what the visions mean.
You imply.
So that at a first glance, a lot of this dialogue will seem rushed. Like those two sentences right there where the NC judge said, "A defeat so unprofitable, our insurance policy won't cover it. You will work until the debt's paid." And then it cuts right to Tyler saying, "I know I can never right the wrongs I made." It seems like there's a lot of conversation that took place in between that, and there did. And there was. And in the original screenplay, this conversation was much longer. It was more of like a back and forth. But because we needed to cut it down half to 40 pages, that conversation ended up getting axed.
I think even Elias just stood up and said something like "stop" or he definitely got involved into the trial.
What
but
did
it
he
was
say?
Just too much, sadly.
He said,
"I think that's not true." He said.
Oh yeah, Elias says that's not fair here. Because the NC judge went on like a little bit of a rant, started calling them debt payers, which it used to be a bigger thing in the longer version of the screenplay. It's not anymore. I think they even had somebody testifying. You know, it was much longer. But now we're back at the abridged version, so all that got cut out so that we could make it under so that you don't die of old age.
Where did the law come from? Or which came first, PlanetSide or the law in the chat? I think PlanetSide came first, right? Although I'm not like a alpha player, I'm not like a PlanetSide 1 player. I think, wasn't it the way around that the game came first and the law was created for the game to have like a backstory?
I don't know. Gotta know the answer to that. I think I didn't see any mention of articles before PlanetSide 2.
Mm-hmm.
So those articles were written like beta time. I didn't see anything from PlanetSide 1. So it doesn't, nothing indicated to me that anything existed before then.
Yeah. But it was definitely written for a game that already exists in a way then.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, perfect. But it also shows.
What's that?
But it also shows when you have like, usually you don't have something like rebirthing technology explained in the video game. You just say, hey, the character you played is dead, now you play another character which looks the exact same and it's still you.
Right.
But they don't explain like why he respawns or how this works. It's like a very PlanetSide only thing to explain this sort of stuff.
Which I think you ended up doing that a better job than I did, because you explained what it was when Robert Stoneman was doing his news article thing in season 1, and I was really impressed when I saw that. When I heard that, I was like, "Damn, that's a really good idea."
Thanks. You mean like I wanted there to be consequences in the story, and when you have like rebirthing, there are ways to get consequences, but you have to work a lot harder than just killing a character, which is like the ultimate consequence you can pay, right? And so it's a bit of a I dodged that bullet of having to do more work than necessary by just removing respawnability by saying, hey, it was the shattering of the warp gate that caused it. I think it's a cop out, but I think it's a decent enough cop out.
That was clutch. I thought that was a brilliant connection between the shattering and the rebirthing disruption. And then when Robert Stoneman said, a death that may very well be final, top 10 quotes of season 1, in my opinion.
Thank you. Also, I think it raises the stakes of the story and it changes the status quo in a way that it makes it feel like very interesting,
Yeah.
Because it's like a life-changing event for everyone involved in the war. Because suddenly the war isn't the same anymore.
Yeah, then it becomes like almost the old style war in the story, the old style wars, which is modern today style wars, where you die for real. So now we're back at the VS, and we're just flip flopping between the two as the trial commences for both of them. NC Tyler's on trial for getting the base blown up, and then Jorah's on trial for talking about peace when the leaders say they want war.
Interpreted the way of Vanu at your peril, Initiate Jorah.
But surely there's
whoever that voice actor was did a great job emphasizing exactly how I envisioned that character talking.
Keith Hughes, I can't pronounce the name, sorry, but it's called Keith. It's a very, very talented.
Oh, was it?
I think. As I said before, like the two judges are just so perfectly fitting, man. They both had like this perfect interpretation of how the judges are very different from each other.
Yeah, and when the judge says you imply our prophet misinterpreted the way of Vanu at your peril, Initiate Jorah, you can hear the disdain in the voice, and that's exactly what I was going for.
By the way, awesome. That was a real recording because he said Jorah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, like everyone else.
Jory. That's funny. I don't know. It just feels like it should be spelled that way.
Yeah, okay. I like it now. But you gotta admit it caused a lot of confusion at first.
It was confusing. And you know what? I remember when you first mispronounced it, I'm like, I wonder if he's been telling other people that that's what it is. And I was like, Jorah, can I live with that? No, I can't. It's got to be Jorah.
All right, let's go on.
Another way. If the other factions only knew of the threat we're all facing,
Now, low key, that is a big tell for what we have in store for this season. And if you're paying attention, you probably already figured that out. Jorah is saying that, one, the prophet either misinterpreted or didn't fully understand what the Vanu was saying, that the warmness of them said they don't have to conquer everything, which is what the whole VS are based on, conquering through enlightenment through conquering. And now he's saying that, wait, what did he just say? Oh, now he's saying that there's another way. If only the VS and if only the TR and the NC knew of what we are all facing, and that's when it gets cut off. You don't really get to hear the rest of it. But that monologue went on for a while in the original.
I like it that we don't reveal it yet, and that we like cut it off because kind of want him to continue because you want to know. Okay, what does he want to say? What does the VS think? And so I really like this because it kind of preserves this for later. Yeah. So it has more impact.
If you were paying attention from the beginning, the very opening scene to now, you probably already put together what's starting to happen. We don't really intentionally hide it, per se. The stuff that we do hide, you don't even know about yet, and it's awesome.
Vanu Visions. The testimony presented earlier today showed little more than a rogue cowboy abandoning a vital NC base.
The liberties you have taken in your misinterpretation do not represent a failure of Vanu, but a failure of yourself.
And again, I stole that one from the in-game VS announcer. I think he said, I think I was playing Vanu or something one time as NSO, and I was and we lost a base or something, and he was, this is not a failure in the Vanu, but in yourself, or something like that. And I was like,
yeah. Now I noticed.
Yep. That's where I was like, that is going in the script.
Oh my god! All this time I didn't realize. Holy shit! And I'm a Vanu main. It's just really fitting in this
That's
case.
what I mean. Like this, working on this was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was like the accumulation of everything that we wanted to make out of just creativity, where we want to take it. I mean, this is our oyster.
Yeah, true.
All right, so
also, I just want to say, like, the music in this scene is just so godlike.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Tonus killed it, man.
In this case, it's actually Vorbings.
Oh, and him.
Yeah. Vorbings did this exact part. First, I was like not really using a lot of music in like this chord scene, but Vorbings said to add like a layer of ambient sound, like ambient music which plays in the background the whole time, and I think it just really elevates the scene on another level.
Yeah, the music is really well done.
When you're cutting this, you don't have the music yet, right? So you're using what's called a temp score, which means you are using temporary music that you put in, which is maybe from the game, maybe from somewhere else. I used some Star Wars music here and there, and then you send it to the composer, like the whole thing, and then they go through with it and talk about. We had some communication problems, not gonna lie, because it was my first time working with a composer.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it all turned out fine. And the problem you have working with temp scores is something called temp love, where you fall in love with, you know, the version of your film with the temp score because you've seen it like 1,000 times. And I gotta say, man, right now I don't miss the temp score at all at any place in the scene.
Really? What is that?
Yeah, because I really love the way that, you know, Vorbings and Tonus like expanded on ideas, made it more fitting to the scenes in some cases, and also challenged my ideas and at other places, which we come later to.
Gotcha. Interesting. I remember my composer days. That's what I started out before producing EDM in house. I did classical composing music.
For some videos, maybe too, or?
No, I did it just to make it, and I competed and won some awards and stuff like that. Well, that was many years ago. They did like
Damn, son.
Like
Didn't
orchestra, you know, like using Cubase and Sibelius and all that. And then I graduated to Fruity Loops and GarageBand when I started producing house music.
I think. Wait, what are they using? They told me so many times what they are using, but I actually know this program, but I don't remember it right now.
Yeah,
and they are absolutely sick. Like these guys are so great with their like programs, and they are.
Yeah,
you know, they have like
I'm
these
sure they would
packs
blow me
of
away.
instruments they can use and so on.
I
Like,
haven't
these
touched
guys
it in
know
years,
what they're
so
doing.
I'm sure they're way better than I am working all through that stuff. I have to relearn it all.
Yeah.
Endangerment of resources entrusted to you demands you repay this debt through unusual means.
As such,
We hereby find you
My favorite.
guilty.
Boom. That, and when I saw that, I wasn't sure if I was seeing that correctly, but that was brilliant.
Oh, thank you. I
Reflecting
actually
the
thought about
destruction in his lens, brilliant.
Yeah, because I wasn't so sure if that's the play, because it's a bit like on the nose, like not like literally,
Nah,
it's
man.
actually on the nose in this
You
case.
killed it.
But
It reminded everybody from season 1 what the problem was.
yeah,
Yeah, that was awesome.
thanks.
But that back and forth of we hereby find you, bam, guilty.
Also, if you notice, like the cuts that we like cut between the scenes, the like durations of time, like the amount of times we. Let me start again. The amount of time we spent at each location for like at the beginning, it's very long. We have like a small back and forth, and then once we get to the end of the scene, we have like very rapid cuts. So it kind of raises the tension a little bit.
You feel like it erased sort of the tension?
And no, the other way around, basically. It adds the tension.
Oh, okay.
Because suddenly we cut much quicker. The music rises. You know, the judges like even complete each other's sentences in a way.
Right,
So
right.
it feels more connected to each other, and it also has like a lot of more tension going on, I think.
Yeah, you can, and it goes when I was writing it, trying to get to that guilty scene. I knew I needed to get to guilty, but how do you split that up? But yeah, there's like that point. Something's gonna happen.
Also, it kind of feels inevitable in a way.
Yeah.
Like you don't expect anything else.
Right. Especially in the beginning when the foot soldier knew Vanu said, "But Jorah, you're not gonna get a fair trial." Like you knew what was gonna happen.
Yeah, true. And the way the judges speak.
Right. Yeah. They didn't really give much room for any sort of but I didn't do it.
I mean, they don't deny it.
Yeah, they don't.
They are just giga chats about it, to be honest.
And I wouldn't expect a Tyler to anyways. He'd be like, yeah, I did that. Please punish me. And then, that's when I knew it was a statue. Those two on the far left and right. I'm like, wait a minute. Those are the same dudes. Oh, they're statues. Whereas before you'd done a close-up of them.
Yeah.
I didn't understand this scene much. I was trying to figure out what place did that have here? Before he enters, he sees a figure in the distance watching him. The figure, oops.
No.
Oh, I see now. I had to reread the script.
Sorry, what?
Oh, I've forgotten that I actually put the identity of the person there.
Oh no! But to be honest, if you watch closely, you can kind of figure it out for yourself. Like
the
very
I had
moment
no idea.
We show him first in the court trial. I mean, it's very, very, very clear if you look closely.
Oh, okay. Because I did not know. I couldn't figure out what this one was. Was he like signaling someone to come rescue him? But I didn't write a rescue scene. But I don't know. Now I know.
I get why you turned him in, but did you have to convince
There's actually a
him
lot to say about this scene.
Yeah.
Now he's getting transferred because of it.
Nathan saw the same thing I did. The commander
So
destroyed
what I
the
want
base
to
and got
tell you to put some attention on right now is something I explained earlier to some other people, but let me try to explain it away. Do you know the 180-degree rule?
No, I don't.
It's a rule in storytelling, or more like in camera placement, that you have one act, like you have like a 360-degree axis where you can put the cameras around the characters in the scene, right? And at some point you just got to decide which half of the 360 degree you want to put it. Like right now, the camera is always on the right side
of Elias.
Of Elias, right? So which means it would be on the left side of Kami, or like from the inside of the room every time, like, because if you like cut from the outside now, it would be a bit distracting, because then the positioning of the characters just switches axis basically.
Oh, okay.
And so what I did now was, when the conversation shifts from being about Tyler and the trials to be about Jenny and the more personal stuff, he not only takes his helmet off to make it more personal by seeing his face, also the camera axis shifts. The camera is suddenly outside the building, and it's kind of becoming a very different scene now. So basically, I break this rule in this case, but I also break it for a reason. And while I'm breaking this rule, I'm also having like a transition shot when he takes off his helmet. This is more like a cinematography, not like a writing thing, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say I know nothing of this rule, so you're educating me.
There's like a really good image to showcase how it works, but yeah, I think it doesn't matter. I think you get the point, right?
Yeah. Well,
but if you watch some movies, you can really notice it when it's used.
We haven't hit it yet, but when he takes his helmet off, I had a lot of difficulty figuring out how to do that. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
A lot of people killed. We couldn't let him get away with it.
There's the transition shot.
Oh.
And now we're outside.
Got it.
The line.
Look, I know you and Jenny were close.
Jenny being his sister.
Can't bring her back. But we can make sure this doesn't happen again.
The one that got killed by
That's why
Archie.
we need to find out what these visions are.
We need the commander, whether he's to blame or not.
And what about that TR commander, Sirius?
Also, Kami kind of like directs the conversation to like different topics.
Yeah. The dialogue here is a little bit clunky. Again, we had to cut it down by half. The original was very smooth, but you know, we just don't have enough real estate to make everything we want out of this. But we hit the hard points that were important enough.
Yeah.
I heard that it was his unit that attacked North Point.
He's gonna pay.
I'm gonna make him pay.
You know, this dark tone you hear right now, it wasn't in the temp score at all. So when Thomas sent me his scoring, which was way darker and way more emphasized the dark deed of revenge way more than like the sadness of him losing Jenny. I was kind of a bit put off by it at first because of temp love, of course, no?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I actually slept about it one night, I woke up and listened to it again. I was like, this is way more fitting. Holy shit. Because, this theme of revenge is like the dominant factor here.
Yeah. Which ends up playing a good part in later stuff, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was... And, okay, so this is the first one to take his helmet off. I had a lot of difficulty figuring out how to do that. And I knew that at the end of the day, it would be you who would have to like visualize what that was going to be. But I always felt like we know what it's almost like a machinima where they always have their helmets on. I mean, taking the helmet off will kind of disrupt the mystery, disrupt the magic of it all. But the way you made it to where it was a non-issue. I don't even know if you realized that I had a lot of I was like, man, I really don't want them to take their helmets off because it's like a machinima.
Really?
Why do we do that? But
actually, I always thought of it being like the next logical step.
Well, when he took his helmet off, I was like, I almost didn't even notice. I'm like, oh, so that's what he looks like with his helmet off. It was Tyler that I had the most problem with because he's like the main character. How are you gonna demask your character like that? But
yeah, the thing is though, in this part of the story, we show our characters in a very, very vulnerable state,
Yeah.
Elias just lost his sister.
You struck the right balance with it. That it communicated the vulnerable position that he was in. But for whatever reason, I had in my mind that we had to be way more careful with that. But I don't know. It's something I must have built inside my own brain.
I think it kind of fits the logic. Like the first story, we have like it's more adventure and action-packed thing. And here it's more like the aftermath, like how characters deal with these personal consequences. And I think it fits when, they take their helmet off occasionally.
Yeah, Nuck was just saying in the chat that he thought the cut flowed pretty well.
Thanks. Yeah, I think the cut was basically... I think it flowed well because of this transition shot, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when I didn't put it in, it was way too hectic, like to switch the axis.
We should do this for every episode.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here it is. And I was like, oh no!
He puts his helmet off, but I think why should I leave it on in this case?
Yeah, you're right. You're
because
right.
He loses his like whole armor right now. By the way, I shouldn't talk about that yet. But he loses his like armor. He like that kind of makes him more vulnerable as well. And also he kind of loses his identity, which we now get to in a way.
Commander Tyler. Oh, and we're getting to the trailer scene. Here we go. Let's get to it.
Also, by the way, the reason why I had the helmet be the first thing you see in the shot is on this scene is because then you can actually realize that this is Commander Tyler, in fact, and not some random guy you've never seen before. But this way, the viewer can connect, okay, this is probably the guy with the helmet on, right?
Yeah, I would have known it because of the scene that we wrote, but putting the helmet in first was a good move. Because here we just have the Valkyrie sits on the landing pad, the Warden awaits, a guy wearing a mean-looking helmet.
I mean, I hope it's mean enough what I found for you in the PlanetSide files.
Let's take a look.
So this is the infamous fool who got
there's like angular contours going on there. It kind of makes it look like sleek and lethal. Yeah. That was good.
That's angry enough.
Too destroyed. I was hoping you'd get Geo. You'll find that it's beautiful here, in a scorching, blistering sort of way.
Man, it really sucks to be Tyler, to be honest.
We have to explain that because that makes no sense. That was actually a really good line in the original.
What do you mean? Sorry.
A scorching, blistering sort of way, and they're on Esamir. So here's the story, right? I forgot we were on Esamir.
But to be honest, it still kind of works because of how it's cold on the outside, but when he said go to the Steam sites, you could probably guess that it's not very cold there.
I had forgotten that we were on Esamir, and for some reason I thought we were on Indar.
Oh,
that's
that
why
I didn't know
it that way.
But it kind of emphasizes the line, or kind of makes it pop out more when he says that on Esamir.
I don't remember, but it was like, I don't know, really, really late into the editing process when I had realized that it was because I was trying to find the hex of where to put it, right? Like North Point and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And Frere Geothermal. And for some reason, I thought Frere was on Indar. And I was looking on Fisu trying to find it because we were it's when you and I were talking about the ridge line up against the warp gate. We were trying to figure something else there, and I was like, why can't I find it here on Indar? And then I figured out that it was on Esamir. I was like, oh man, that makes no sense now.
Can I just say that Tyler probably has the worst day of his life? First, he goes into trial. He gets constantly shit about how like he fucked up.
Yeah.
And now he goes to another place, and there's another guy like holding a speech how he's shit. Like, this guy has to take a lot, man.
Yeah. I'm sure that no one else noticed or even really cared that kind of doesn't make sense, but it's a pretty big one to me.
You mean how Freya looks or what?
Yeah, but just like how Frere, how he's describing it's a scorching, blistering sort of way when they're in the cold blizzard.
As I said, you should probably take it more in a metaphoric way and not in like a literal one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I can't
remember who
I think this line works still way better than most.
I jacked this off of another movie script, and I can't remember. Just this one little scorching, blistering sort of way. I can't remember who it was, but someone said something like that, and it just was in my mind when I was writing it. I didn't know what that was at first until I saw the max, and then was like, "Oh, dang! So that's what that looked like, huh?" Because in the original scoring, you kind of got to see like the Maxes shooting the other prisoners with it. So then when they use it on Tyler, it was like, okay, I know what this is. But now you're just like blam right away. Not even like 2 words out of his mouth, and he gets hit with the stun gun.
Let that be a reminder that you only speak when given permission, and you'll only be answering to pair 781.
And so that's where we're talking about the debt payer earlier. There's this one random line now, payer 781, that doesn't have as much of an impact anymore, but it's there anyways.
From now on, Commander Tyler died.
All right. So the trailer, Flash, when you put together, it stops right here. Commander Tyler died. And I'm like, what do you mean? Everyone who watches is going to be like, Commander Tyler died. The end.
Isn't it like good bait? Like,
Is it bait because you're like, he's dead now? Everyone can go home.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it works. You know, the actual first version of the trailer, I actually put the entire line. So
yeah, I think it would have made more sense if we had the whole line. But at the end of the day, everyone loved the trailer, so maybe it wouldn't have mattered. So 2 seconds ago, he was just saying that the warden said Commander Tyler died. This is what the whole thing was supposed to be. Ready? Here goes.
Commander Tyler died, along with the rest of those poor souls in North Point. Now,
Right,
report to
there
the
you go.
steam.
So that's where Commander Tyler died along with the rest of those poor souls. So what he's saying is, it doesn't matter who you were. And that's kind of what you set up when we saw the helmet there, and now we see the vulnerable Tyler. The Steam sites in a Blizzard Esamir. Whatever, it works.
Yeah.
Site so we can show you your new life.
Actually, this entire facility of Freya Geo is far more ready to be fleshed out than you might think or you see. If the camera was positioned a little bit higher, you would actually see a lot of the work side. Let me put it that way. So
cool.
That set is basically already finished.
That's awesome. How close are you to being done with episode 2?
Not even close.
Oh. We should do this for episode 2 as well.
Yeah, of course, man. It's a lot of fun talking about this stuff.
Yeah. All right, so now we are at... What comes after this part?
The
Warden says, let that be a reminder. Now we're waiting outside the NC courtroom. Okay, nope. We're not in the courtroom.
I changed that.
You did change that. But we do see what happens. Now here's Sirius. The red, so we're at TR. That's Commander Sirius.
You may think you got away, but I have something of yours.
This didn't make any sense to me when I saw this. And I went back and reread it, and I had written this, so I knew I was thinking of something, but I feel like I should have built a better lead up. Because him saying, you may think you got away, it's pretty abrupt. People, unless you watch season 1, then you might not have any idea what we're talking about. 5 minutes ago. Even I watched it multiple times, and I still don't fully remember what they got away with. But then I remember the battle with the Max and how they ran out into the night.
Yeah, but one guy was left behind.
Right. One guy was left behind. And there he is.
Meet me at the sanctuary, Commander
Ricky.
Tyler. Let's settle this in a civilized manner.
So there it is. Sirius laying down the gauntlet, saying, let's go to the sanctuary. So you have an idea where we're going next.
Mm-hmm.
And the sanctuary scene is my second favorite scene. Maybe third favorite scene.
I don't know which, because there are more than one scenes, but yeah.
I mean, there are some good moments. There's only one main thing that happens in Sanctuary.
True.
And that, I loved that. I absolutely love that. My first one is what happens later on.
I really like these. I don't mind. Probably not spoiler that. I can't believe how many people were involved in this, doing this kind of stuff, on my own for such a long time, and now this being such a big community project.
Yeah.
Kinda. I don't even know the word for it, to be honest. It's insane.
Man, there's so many people involved in this. Oh, yeah. That's right. Who did I voice again? Was I in this episode?
Yeah, you actually were.
What? Which one? Where?
Wait. Maybe I can stream it on Discord so you can actually hear it. Oh, I have an idea.
Look at that logo. And there it goes.
I will actually show you where you are in this episode. You will probably laugh about it because you probably think that you don't deserve a credit for it, but you do. Wait. Let me find the file. It's gonna take a minute. Because you actually sent in some background lines.
I did. That's right. I did. Oh,
Just
man.
like many others, we didn't find a role for because we only have a limited amount of roles, and we had a big casting call with like 50 people replying and sending in their takes. So yeah, it was a lot of organizational stuff going on this project as well, which
was a big
obviously no one talks about because you want to see the final product, but yeah, cares about like all the Excel sheets and all the meetings you have with about like it doesn't matter. Let's go. Let me put that here. Okay.
Awesome first
so
episode.
What you now see, if I can stream it to
I
you.
don't see anything yet.
I hope you can see it. What you can now see is Adobe Audition. This is the software I'm currently using to do the audio mixing with. Next part, we're probably gonna involve Tonnis into it. So he does some of the mixing as well. He actually helped me with the court trial scene on the VS Judge and Jorah because I had like problems with the S and sounds. So he helped me and made some better reverb on it and so on. But
so that's the software you're using.
Yep. Let me solo this one.
Oh, stream has ended. Oh dear.
Do you have a crash? I think here we go. You didn't hear it probably because it's so silent. This doesn't make any sense, does it?
I can't hear anything.
These lines, these extra lines you sent me, I put them like somewhere in these scenes and made them very, very, very low volume. So you have like this atmosphere of people talking everywhere, basically.
Okay. What did I say? I remember saying something like stupid. Like Flashyy, you better put this at max volume or else I'm gonna like it was just stupid.
Can you see it now?
This is cool, man. This is so cool. I can't wait to hear my own voice. It talking about my own voice.
Okay, can you see it now? Because I think the stream crashed, right?
Yeah, it crashed. All right.
Maybe you can see it now.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Although this one in the actual text, this is have your seen
Wait.
pictures?
Say that again?
Have you seen pictures of North Point?
That's you, actually. And also we have, I think that's...
Have you seen the picture of North Point?
That's Archipig, I think.
It's terrible.
I wonder how such a rogue got to be commander anyway.
We prepared like a lot of these lines, like
we did.
pictures of North Point. This commander is such a rogue, and how can he get away with it so easily and so on. And we sent a lot of these lines for various different occasions to a lot of people. So we have these background conversations going on everywhere, and we have this feeling of it being like a lived in place,
Gotcha. Nice.
And you were in there, as you see.
So I was in there after all.
Yes, you were. A lot of other people as well. It's always it hurts a little bit when you do a casting and not everyone can get a role. But I mean that's in the end just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
You can't write like a screenplay with 100 roles and just try to shoehorn everyone in a way. At some point you gotta make sure that the story you have is actually a good story. It doesn't, bend itself to the needs of whatever department, if it's the casting department or the visual.
Yeah, it's tough, man, trying to balance all of that together like that.
Yeah,
a lot of.
I think we found a good balance.
Yeah, I think you found an awesome balance. Exactly, sort of balance the story needed. All right.
Damn, we went on a lot of tangents here.
Yeah, we did, but it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
There was a lot to say, more than I actually expected.
Yeah, me too. A lot more than I expected.
But I mean, we're probably the guys who know the most about the Echoes of Vanu, so it probably makes sense. It would be sad if we didn't have a lot to say about it.
Right.
In a way.
That's true. It's true. We had a lot to say. So there were two scenes. Not just two scenes. Let's go with going from this to that. There are two. This was like last week, so you hadn't yet released this version. But in the casting call, you had an early like model version. That little dude running around Sanctuary. He's like a little mannequin or robot or whatever. And then I took a picture of the Max just going ham on the little personal shield that Ricky put down when the fight happened in season 1. How did you go from that guy running around? I didn't even know you could do that, by the way, to a Max animated, like just blasting with his mutilator. How does that happen?
How do we even get to the first step of this dude running around on Sanctuary and Unreal Engine?
Yeah, how do you even do that?
Well, you have to do 100 different things, but if I maybe first start with point B in this case, because that's actually the first point, because the first thing was done in Blender, You actually, the first thing you do is, what do you even want to tell? So, what do you want to show in the scene? Then you have to scan the resources, like what models do we have available. And of course, I have a Max model, and I can just extract it from PlanetSide and use it in many different ways. Then maybe I can actually show that on stream in a way. Wait. I actually stream it. Yeah, let's go. So if you get a model from PlanetSide, or you don't get it, you extract it from the PlanetSide files, it will probably look something like this.
Huh.
You have this dude.
What program is this?
This is actually 3 models right now. It's a helmet. Sometimes you can also just extract them with like already rigged.
Do that again. Click those different models.
So
okay, so
you
can
also
person, there's armor, and then there's a helmet.
No, it's one model, but you don't need to do that. So all these models basically consist of a lot of different triangles.
Oh.
Actually, they are not connected. You have to connect them like with one shortcut. But yeah, you can basically edit them any way you want, basically.
What?
So, and now what you want to do is, okay, I want this arm to be edited in a certain way, but I want it to be like kind of controlled by a bone structure, like we humans have bones. So what you do is, you can, as I said, already extract them with the rig, but it will be probably a very weird rig. You have like a bone structure, and you then can use that bone to move the arm and all the different. Probably not very new to most people, but that's the basic way it works. And the idea behind that is, if I have a certain bone, what area does the bone affect? Like this bone, for example, affects this area. Red means it affects it very strongly. Blue means it doesn't affect the area at all. So this is how the bone structure bends and moves the model. And this is basically how like these digital rigs work.
So that's like a skeleton underneath him that you move the skeleton part?
And the weight paint tells the model where the skeleton affects the model. Like this is the left arm bone, you can see right here. And is this bone, and it affects this part. The shoulder bone affects this part. Doesn't really have a lot of effect, as you can see. There's not a lot of red going on, but it's fine. Then you have the forearm, and then you of course have all the fingers. So as I said, you can extract the rig from with like some tools, but you can also like re-rig it yourself, or you can have like an auto rigger that basically helps you out a lot, which I like to use basically. I use Mixamo for rigging. And then what you then want to have is a control rig. Now this is cool because now what you can do is
And you had to make all of this rig stuff?
There are presets and a lot of stuff for it. You don't have to do everything by hand.
Okay.
This would be way too complicated, probably. And this auto rig, this IK created auto rig, now a control rig, now enables me to actually have a point that the arm automatically points to, which is this point. And now I can actually move the arm.
There you go. That's what I was waiting for.
The entire arm structure.
How do you make them like move and everything? So the skeleton doesn't move them. You doing this rig thing does.
Well, maybe you have some presets. You can import in some animations. This is actually a preset animation, which comes straight from Mixamo. Or, which you will always have to do, is create your own animations. Because if you want to tell an original story, you will have to do an own original animation at some point, you know? Like, what you do is basically you go here, put the arm here,
like
go
when they're
to
talking,
another point.
You had to do that original animation?
A lot. Like the entire scene of Elias and Kami talking to each other is like completely hand animated, for example. Like everything that has a conversation going on is of course hand animated. So now that you have these two points here, the arm will move. Then you want to ease that because it's not a linear motion. And then you have like to edit these curves so it looks good, and you have to do like some in-between frames so it looks more natural. So it moves a bit quicker and then slows down. Also, what you want to do is anticipation, some form movement. So it moves back a little bit. Wrong. It moves back a little bit first and then moves forward. Just very basic things. And then, of course, you do that for not every bone, but most of the bones. And then at some point, you have something that looks like it's a natural movement, because, you know, movement is very hard to do because, you know, we humans, we see when something is wrong instantly because, you know, we see other people move every day, 24/7, maybe not 24/7, but even if we don't see them, we imagine them in our heads how they move, and we spot that instantly when something is wrong.
Yeah.
And also when something that should have a weight doesn't have a weight, because here it doesn't have a weight, I can just make him lift his arm in like a millisecond. Maybe that's a bit okay, but, you know, this doesn't feel natural and it doesn't feel like it has a weight. So it's a lot of manual tweaking and, you know, jumping between keyframes and, you know, like dragging them around and doing breakdown frames and going into the curves and adjusting there how the certain bones move, and when they move faster, when they move slower. And that's the thing that eats up the most time, like undoubtedly. So yeah.
Can you
doing
show,
manual animation.
like, do you already have a little movement, like of him saluting or him moving something? I want to see what that looks like in the background.
I can have this scene, by the way.
There you go.
This is for something else, though. This is not perfect yet, but it will be covered up with an explosion. This is actually not from Trials of Vanu. This is for like a small project for...
I see two keyframes, but he's walking and then he does that.
Wait. Let me see more. This indicates that there are some presets involved.
Oh, jeez. Wait, do that again?
And there are... This is one animation preset. And then it switches to another preset animation in this case. So there's not that much hand animation involved in this case. But the problem is, when you have two preset animations, they don't fit perfectly together. And that's where you have to do some magic.
Oh, I think I see some, almost like I would do in editing or music producing.
In this case, I worsened it a little bit. Because I wanted to make like the explosion actually throws them away and you don't see an explosion.
Yeah, not yet. Okay.
So the problem is you have this, and then 1 second later, the other animation will drag the character back, and it will just look weird. So you have to do a lot of like manual tweaking with these preset animations. Also, you want to have the hands be at the right places, the foot not like sticking through the floor, which will always happen, or like the body being inside the floor a little bit. You can get away with it to a certain degree, but only to a certain degree. And there's just a lot of time that goes into manually tweaking all the preset stuff, and also doing like all the hand animated stuff. Maybe I can actually pull up the actual scene from Echoes where Elias and Kami are talking.
Yeah, let's do that.
I had
this
a problem
is cool,
with that,
man. I didn't know that this is what you're doing in the background.
Well, now you do.
That just seems massively complex.
I will get you back once the file is loaded. Just a heads up, this might crash.
All right.
It did crash. Fantastic. I hope it doesn't crash, because this scene I had some problems with facial animation. This always crashed when I moved the timer. Never mind. So what I did here is animate the whole character, and I don't place a keyframe at every millisecond, of course, right? You place keyframes where you need them, like these points in time where crashed.
Yeah, it crashed. So the keyframe represents like a beginning point and an end point? Is that what that is?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. It's a point in the timeline where you say, hey, the bone is in this position, at this rotation, at this scale, at this point in time. Then you have another point in time where it's in another, and then you can say, okay, ease that in a little bit so it's a bit smooth. And yeah, that's the way animation works in 3D. So this scene shouldn't crash, I hope. You see that I always use reduced sets in Blender, because I do like all the hard setting stuff and scenes in Unreal. I think this is already baked. Yep, it is. But what you then gotta do is bake the animation, which means that if you have a keyframe here, if you have a keyframe here and a keyframe here, or you have something that's simulated.
Yeah.
Like you have, for example, the drone, which was made with a modifier, which was telling, hey, I want the y-axis, and I want it to wiggle. So what are you gonna do? You're going to noise, get a modifier on it, scale it up, make it give it a lot of strength, and then you have it wiggle. But it's of course not a keyframe, right? Because there is no point in time where the position of that thing is saved, as you see. There's only one point in time here.
Mm-hmm.
So what you then have to do is bake the animation, which creates a lot of these points in the timeline. It tells, okay, now it's here, create a point, and this will do it automatically, right? This is, right now it's called procedural. And once it creates all these points for me, it will be baked. And once it's baked, I can actually throw it into Unreal Engine and work with it. Because Unreal Engine is not like Blender, it's not like the same. It's a little bit different. It needs like these textures in a different way. And so it's a lot of... you have to understand a lot of stuff about how render engines, or not how render engines, how game engines and Blender as a 3D program are different. Because as you see, this is the setup, which basically tells the program how this model looks basically, right? So if I remove this, it's blank, right? This basically tells, hey, I want red to be here, I want that to be gray, I want there to be a bit darker gray than here. Then you have another map that tells him, hey, I want this part to be metallic, this white part, this one is non-metallic. Then you have this part, which tells him, hey, this part should reflect a lot of light, versus this part, this doesn't reflect that much light. And then you have a blue channel. This emits light, which I didn't use in this case. Then there's another channel, which tells him, hey, how rough is this model? And roughness basically means how much is light spread once it hits the model. You can see this is very glossy, this is very rough. Now, and this just tells it where it has the certain values, right? And then there's another map that you always use. It's called the normal map. This adds fake detail, like you see right now. So this basically looks a bit like this. It's actually a combination of multiple normal maps in this case.
Gotcha.
Of like very small normal maps. And then there's a map which tells them where all these normal maps are at. It's complicated.
That looks super complicated, but the web thing looks... I mean, that I at least can get that part.
Yeah.
All right. And then that's the end result.
Map. There's so much stuff you're doing to get all this done. It's just, you do a bit of everything. You do a bit of animation, you do a bit of, fixing the rig, because, when you look at it, it's weight paint, you see the shoulder bone, it doesn't cover this full chest, which I got a lot of criticism, not a lot, which one guy criticized on Reddit actually, so
what you want to do is,
he criticized that the weight painting of the shoulder chest was off, which is true, because as you see right now, the forearm bone should move this thing on entirely, otherwise it will be stretched, because it is in part impacted by the shoulder and in part by the upper arm, so it will stretch. When both bones move it will be stretched. So if only one bone affects it, but fully, it will not be stretched.
I'll take your word for it, Flashyy.
I know it's hard to explain even when you see it.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it.
If you're not a full-on pro,
nonetheless.
It's even harder to explain,
That's funny.
So that's basically the work I do in Blender, getting this stuff animated, and then I jump into Unreal Engine, and this is more like the stuff that you actually see what you want, You see all the great sets and, the lighting and, there's a box, there's another box, there I want some trees. That's probably a bit easier to understand. Actually, this image, which shows like this, the lower one, is actually from Unreal Engine and actually went through the Blender progress already. And the mannequin that jumps around is just an Unreal preset. I would just ignore that. It's got nothing to do with me in this case. But yeah, the Sanctuary was also extracted from PlanetSide by the master of assets, Bon himself. He's an absolute legend in the creative community.
Who is?
Bon.
Born.
He's Bon, B-O-N. He's just a legend because he provided a lot of tools that we can now use.
Gotcha.
And if you need resources for your art, then that's the Discord server you want to head to. PlanetSide Creative Community. You can probably just find it with Googling or going on PlanetSide Central. I think there's a link. And that's where we all share the resources around.
The creative community. Yeah, let's get that. Because we're in it right now, by the way. If you all didn't know, we're in the PlanetSide 2 community in one of the voice channels. Let's get to the...
Right, actually, when I started doing this, the Echoes of Vanu, there was not a resource collection like this. And I actually found old videos by a guy who now works for Cloud Imperium Games and creates cinematics, official cinematics for Star Citizen. And he explained a little bit of how these PlanetSide models and assets work. And I basically saw these videos. I was so happy to find them. I was an absolute noob at that time.
Yeah.
Nuke, you saw the tutorial. I created
if you use Unity.
No, sadly not. I only use Unreal. I sadly I'm not that good at game engines. So I try to understand one first. I think this Unreal is very powerful. But I think you can do the same things with both engines, but you have Lumen and Nanite, which are now new tools that are really effective for larger scale scenes. So I probably stick with Unreal.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
I basically
that's how you go
a...
from a mannequin model to a full-blown max blast in a shield with a mutilator.
I had the max from the start, to be honest, but if you want to put it that way in the books, I'll keep it that way.
I mean, that's the way I would put it, because for someone who doesn't know what it is that you just did, I see what you did, but I don't have the expertise to know. That's cool.
Also, that magazine, the guns have to be added to the max, of course. You have to add like all these particles that he shoots. Yeah,
And I think you mentioned the task that takes the longest is the actual animation, moving them and all that, the keyframes and all that.
Every animation preset I can use saves me a day of work, probably. Every scene that I see, okay, I can't use a preset on this, is an extra day of work. For this Elia Kami conversation scene, I think I probably took a week.
Yeah. Just them talking.
Or maybe like 5 days. 5 days, I think. Because, to be honest, it was still early days for me when I animated that scene. And I tried out a new workflow where I was basically recording myself from 2 different point of views and then trying to recreate that motion. Yeah, it's complicated. But it's real life footage is the best reference you can get.
Well, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Because in the end, this is impressive.
When you write, he punches the piston into the ground. All I'm reading is another animation that I won't have a preset for.
Are you able to like save these presets and then
of course,
give them to the community so it saves someone else a week?
They all have the same. There's this big database called Mixamo that has the presets for everyone, basically.
Gotcha.
So you just go on Mixamo and you can basically get an animation out of it if you want, with just the presets in theory. If you do some little tricks with cutting away, etc., you probably get a coherent animation out of it. But if you want to tell a really unique story, you can't do it with it only. You have to know how to connect these animations, presets, etc.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Pale.
Hello there.
The Twiga is in the chat. We're talking about the Echoes of Vanu. Season 2, Episode 1 was released today. And Flashyy, the animator and producer, he's going over how he animated all of our dialogue and the whole scenes that we created the screenplay for.
Yep.
So, yeah, keep that going, because I think the overlay right now is just perfect to where it shows everything. So if you
we'll
close
open
that,
another
then it'll screw up everything.
Or should I maybe open Unreal Engine?
Do that. Yeah, do that.
Okay, then which scene do you want to see? Wait, let me give.
Do the opening scene when the Valks are coming. The Valks.
My least favorite scene? Nah, not my least favorite. Come on.
Hey, you asked me.
Every scene except that one, okay? Every scene except that one.
Do when they're leaving the conclave.
Okay. The VS code it is.
Yeah. Do when they leave the VS conclave.
Let me close Blender though, because it's gonna slow my PC a lot. Sorry for the overlay.
That's okay. That's alright, it's all good.
Unreal also needs a lot of time to start up usually, so we might have to fill some gaps now. And by that I mean like 3 minutes or 5.
That's okay. This is good enough for now. Alright, so that's what takes the longest.
Yep, definitely.
And in order to be a video, what's your title? Are you a video editor? What do you do? Animator?
Animator is a bit. I mean, I animate. I make animations, so it would fit. But I'm also doing a lot of editing. I'm sometimes doing cinematic. I would just call myself a. I think you have to say filmmaker, but I don't like to call me that because it kind of sounds like I'm making like actual movies, which I don't. But I think I'm basically making films because I do everything that a filmmaker does, and I start start with an idea. I direct the voice actors in a way. I do the casting, I do the animation, I do the cinematography, do the rendering, I do the color correction, I do everything in the whole pipeline, the whole everything you basically do to create a movie, I do in a way, except for the music, of course, and big parts, if not the entirety of the writing in this case.
So the animator and editor is too simple, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think animator is more like for people who do like animation stuff. By that I mean I do animation, but people who animate characters' movements,
Okay, so you don't do that. Well, wait, we do. You make animation characters.
Yeah.
But you're not an animator because a filmmaker encompasses like the color correction, the cinematography, whereas an animator doesn't. Like you worry about models and moving stuff.
I'm not too sure about the wordings, to be honest. It's
Okay.
all I would just call myself a filmmaker, and that's easy. That's fine with me. Or just a creator. I don't think about that stuff too much, to be honest. I just want to do some cool stuff. I hope people like it, and then I'm cool with it.
Gotcha. Nux asks, while most of your shots are between 3 and 8 seconds, do you store them and switch between them? Or no, how do you store them and switch between them?
I can actually show you very soon in Unreal Engine how I'm doing that. Because in a way, they are stored in 3D space, and in theory, I could do the reverse shot while the other shot is playing, but it's. I will show you.
Okay. Cool.
It's hard to explain without showing it. It's one of those things again.
Okay. So between the other question I was thinking of was a 1-minute video versus a 45-minute video. In this case, an 8-minute video versus a 45-minute. No. Let's say an 8-minute video, which is episode 1, season 2, and a 20-minute video, which was all of season 1. Is there a difference between them?
In
Other than
theory,
scale?
yes. But on that scale, not too much. In this case, it's actually very samey because there was such more work involved in Echoes trials than in Echoes, and I already had all the experience. But in theory, if I now would create a 20 minutes movie, it would take so much more work because, how do I even start? You have to do a lot more planning, You can kind of get away with mistakes in 8 minutes videos, but once you have a lot of time, then mistakes will just pile up, and at some point maybe a mistake that you made early on will actually create a lot of problems for you later on. Like you choose a rig that's not good and use it in a lot of scenes, then it might be the case that after a lot of time you notice that, and then you are kind of fucked because you can't change it anymore.
Gotcha.
And for 40 minutes, that makes a lot of difference.
So it's easier to do
shots.
Okay, got it.
Definitely, because there's so much more planning and so much more that could go wrong in big things. And you have to fill 20 minutes. It's easier to fill a minute than to fill 45 minutes or whatever.
Gotcha.
And you have less time to spend on details. And if you can't change things because in the time you create this thing, because it's so long, you learned a lot of new stuff, and then you have this scene on Hossen where you want to go back and change everything, but you can't because you don't want to waste a lot of time on it and move forward, then it kind of also sucks often.
I got you. Now that makes sense.
Here we are in Unreal.
So this is Unreal Engine. Okay.
See. So basically this is the setting that we are at. You can see
How
this
did you make
island.
this setting?
This is a landscape from a landscape height map, which means this is basically just an image with black and white values, which Mel, a good friend of mine, created and then sent over to me. Then I have a landscape texture, which basically reads out, where there are a lot of height differences. Of course, everything with a tutorial. I did not create that myself. And when there's a lot of height difference, it will make it rocky. When there's not, it will make it this weird fieldy thing. And then this was all created in Blender and imported over this court scene. Here you have the flags again. So the scene you want to see is the scene where actually misspelled shot.
This is like a game.
Yeah. You can theoretically put.
How are you able to just like fly around like you're in an ops camera?
Oh yeah, this is just the engine. You just don't the engine, and then that's automatically. Yeah, that's just automatically possible.
Dang. And can you like turn it on right now and you just kind of float around?
So, what do you mean?
Like right now, are you? What I don't get is, it seems like some sort of cross between, like if I were using Sony Vegas Pro, putting together shots of stuff, but you're able to move around in the shot. How?
Exactly, and now, because it's a 3D scene, it's like a render engine. It's like not a render. It's a game engine where you basically put all the models like in Blender, and you baked everything, and now you can fly around this 3D space. You basically recreate these 3D stuff, everything in Unreal Engine, and add in a lot of new stuff into it. It's like a game, but it's also not a game. But I can make it a game if I want to. I could add a character that can run around everywhere. So it's like a 3D program, basically, in a way.
And that's what you did in the mannequin model?
Exactly. The mannequin model is Unreal Engine Pro. If I press play in the other file, I can run around. Here I can't because I don't have the setting applied or the blueprint as it's called.
Okay. And go back to where they were walking down the pier.
Which should be here.
That right there. Okay. So go into like game mode or whatever. So look around. Okay, that. Go back a little bit to where I can see that little box. It's pretty much right. That. What is happening there?
You mean this thing?
No, the cameras, the little white
this
icons,
thing?
all that. Yes.
This is a light, basically. It's an area light that shoots off a little bit of light to the scene. And I actually modeled these small light things myself as well. And this is like, I could place a camera here. And now, regarding the question with like how I, create a shot, I basically just place a camera here. It has this nice camera model in Unreal. And then you just animate the camera in 3D space. And then in the time bomb, you say, okay, in this second, I want this camera to be active. In this second, I want this camera to be active. And then you render it out as a normal video. And this normal video you put in your NLE, in your Sony Vegas, in your Premiere Pro, and your DaVinci Resolve. And then you edit it like the way you want it.
How do you switch from inside to right there?
From the camera to this button.
Yeah, from inside where they proclaimed him guilty to now he's walking outside.
I just moved the camera outside. Actually, you want to maybe...
how do you
I think these are different models, actually. Wait.
Oh, okay. Because it's all the same scene, it looks like. Inside, the dude is walking, and then outside,
you see how these characters just appear out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And then move into place, like these guards?
Yeah.
Let's show that from this perspective. Also, these things move inside because I modeled it in a bad way, so I kind of fixed it by moving it in the outside.
Okay.
These pop into places because I cut away. I can move them however I want because they are not on screen. Now Jorah just moved forward.
Okay, that. So that little segment right there, how does it know that it's not being observed?
Basically, it doesn't know. I just put the camera away, basically.
Okay,
so I animated
where do I
in
see
Blender.
That?
Sorry?
Where do I see that you've put the camera away? How can I see that?
I actually only seeing the final shot. Right here. and then I pre-animate everything, right, in Blender, with the cameras roughly the same. And then when I see, okay, these guys are out of screen, I don't want to change the shot, definitely don't want to do it because I like it. Then I can say, okay, now I want these guys to move in position for the next shot already. They are not on screen. It's just a choice of myself. It doesn't know that. I just choose to be that way, basically.
Dang, man, this is blowing my mind. I didn't know that you could gamify your editing.
Yeah. When you have a good plan of how you want to shoot things, it's way easier to get away with like smaller things. Like you don't have to animate them going inside, going there, and then turning. This would eat so much time. So if they are not on screen, why even animate it, you know? If I know I don't want to show it anyway, I don't need to animate it. I just put them there, and as long as they're there in the next shot where he walks up, I'm fine.
Huh. And what is the easiest? You said if you have a good plan, right? You're not talking about the script that we wrote. You're talking about, stay right there, by the way. You're not talking about the script that we wrote. You're talking about your like scene maps and how you put all that together and how the scenes are going to flow.
Not even the scene map. The animation itself, when I animate it and I place the cameras, and I basically, I create a small, what's called a pre-visualization. When I was in Blender earlier and everything was like weird colors and so on, right? That was the kind of view that like Tonnes and Wobings got to see when they scored the thing. Because I was basically creating a very, very, very low detail and shitty version of the thing. And then I was creating the actual thing, in a way. So I knew the camera placement, I knew what shots I will have. And so I can basically, make sure that I don't waste time on useless stuff.
Damn, that's awesome. Okay, stay right there for a second. So I'm comparing the two. Go back a little bit more.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah. So I'm comparing the two shots, right? You've got your Unreal, which it looks almost like if I were to land in PlanetSide during daytime, that's what it would be. But then you have what you rendered, which is dark, and there's like the sun is setting behind it.
Yep.
You can't even tell that you're on like for instance, the rocks. The detail of the rocks to the left of the conclave, where you can tell now that the tower is on like a slow rise, almost like old Blood Gulch in Halo. You can't tell that in your rendering. Oh. You can't tell that. Hold on.
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
All right, so what here, right now?
Yeah.
What did you do to go from that to what it was 5 seconds ago when everything was bright and clear?
Oh, I just moved the sun, actually.
Wait, all you did was move the sun? What the heck is going on here?
I mean, that's the power of Unreal Engine. This is why I switched from Blender to Unreal, because, you see how,
What?
It's just so powerful.
All you did all that just by moving the fucking sun?
So what happens here is usually, the Blender engine I used was called Eevee. When you have like a sun, it will of course have the right shadows, etc. But it will not have like the bouncing light, which like it bounces in the atmosphere, and it of course hits the ground and lights up the entire setting. Like if I now move inside the building for a second, it will be very bright in here when I turn on the light. I mean, but of course the light that hits here reflects to everywhere and makes it brighter everywhere, right? And this is something called lumen, which you usually need something called ray tracing for, which means it actually calculates how the lights bounce everywhere. And to do that in Blender, it would take hours to render a scene like this. But in Unreal, I can just play it right now here in real time. Almost. It's not 4K, but I don't care. I mean, in the final version, it's 4K, so that's all that matters. And if I wanted to render it in 4K with like actual ray tracing, and then it would take forever, and that wouldn't be possible. So right now I can make it like this. It will be a lot brighter everywhere, and it looks fine.
It's crazy.
It's a bit
awesome,
hard to explain,
man.
and I probably explained it a little bit wrong because I kind of lack the words to describe what I mean. But I hope you can get the general idea of it.
Yeah. When you moved the sun, I think that just cleared up everything. I had no idea that was a thing. That's like real life. That's like a real.
Yeah, it's actually, there's also like a normal sky atmosphere setup, but I actually have a plugin called Ultra Dynamic Sky, which is like an even improved version of it. So you could even add weather effects if you want to. You could add like rain right now if you want.
Oh my gosh, man! I had no idea that this was this interactive and that advanced. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is why I switched.
That's why you wanted to switch to Unreal Engine so badly.
Exactly. It took a lot of time, but it was definitely worth it, I guess.
I can see that. Dang, man, that's crazy awesome.
And another thing you can do with it...
Okay, wait, stay right there. Stay right there. What timestamp are we on? He's walking in, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's toward the beginning.
Is that shot even in the movie?
I'm
not sure. I'm not sure that shot's even in the final cut.
No, it doesn't look like it is.
Yeah, exactly. There. The render times.
Yeah.
When you have like this, what was it called again? When you have like the right light bounce. It's not exactly right, but like almost how it should be.
Yeah, Nuck he guessed that making this in Blender would take a really long time to render, while Unreal only takes a few minutes.
If you want to if you want to have it look like this, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
4K, definitely. you can hack around a little bit in Blender and get some area lights back there to have it a bit brighter inside, but it's just way easier to do it in Unreal. Especially if you want to render it in 4K. And there's also something else that I want to implement in my workflow, but I'm afraid I have to restart Unreal for that. And I think it will blow your mind, actually.
Alright, go ahead.
If I show it to you.
Will do.
This will probably be the last thing that I show now.
Alright.
Because there's not a lot to show, to be honest.
I'm blown away, man.
It's
I
always
had no idea.
Hard to understand
like
what do like the usual in Germany we say Otto Normalverbraucher, like the casual dude on the street. What does he know about this sort of stuff? It's like hard to me to understand. What do I even need to explain, and what is self-explanatory? Because for me, if I was talking to my mate, who helps me a lot with stuff, I can use all these words that he will understand, but it's hard to communicate with someone who doesn't usually do this stuff, and then talk about the same thing from another point of view.
Right. Yeah, you had to dumb it down a bit, but when you showed the Unreal Engine like you did, and then especially when you showed how you could watch them walk in and out, I'm like, wait a minute, that looks a lot like an observer camera, as if I was watching a match on Jaeger.
Exactly, yeah. And then you decide where you want to your camera want to be at. This is basically like a game, but it's pre-programmed. And then you tell, I want a camera here, I want a camera here, and this second, when this happens, I want a camera here. Yeah, it's just like that.
Nuts,
it's
man.
like a pre-programmed observer camera in a way. And what I want to show you now is...
That's similar to a company that I had tried to negotiate with when I was still an admin for PlanetSide Battles. Right around the time when we were negotiating with Electronic Sports League, ESL, there was a company who made an offer to us that they could enhance the PS2 observer cameras by putting, almost like the camera that you showed me in Unreal Engine, by putting that in the game, and then you could switch to those cameras at will. And as long as you were streaming your screen, you could easily switch to whatever those perspectives were. So we almost went for it, but there was a big cost measure to it, and then Andy wasn't able to. We weren't able to get any sort of approved funding or anything like that, so it was scrapped. We didn't really go much into it, but it seemed very similar to what you just showed me.
So what I'm going to show you right now might blow your mind a little bit that this is actually possible.
I'm ready.
So what if I told you that in theory you could create PlanetSide 2 in Unreal, play the game, record how you play the game, and then place the cameras in 3D space?
Say that again.
Basically, what if I now have this tank, drive around, record what I'm doing, and then let it play out again and place the cameras where I want to?
That last bit I didn't understand. Then put the cameras where you want to?
Yeah, you basically... imagine what if I put a camera right there, where I'm looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I now play the game, like I do here. And then I record what I'm doing, and then I can see from the perspective of that camera what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically like the next level I want to reach with these like vehicles, tanks, etc. Because animating such a thing is very, very hard to do, and it was also a lot of work to get this going, even with tutorials. How to get this Vanguard, which is probably your favorite tank, I guess. Get this work in Unreal, and this is what I'm going to use in a small test animation soon.
So what I'm hearing you saying is, tell me if I got this right.
Yeah.
Let's say the Vanguard. You get in the Vanguard, and then you drive around.
Exactly.
So you have that recording from beginning to end, and you put cameras in different spots.
Yeah.
So then you're able to kind of cut from that whatever it is you want from whatever perspective, and then that becomes your final render.
Yeah, exactly.
So when would you use that?
Imagine I want to have a huge battle going on, right? I have a dozen Vanguards, I have a couple people running around, and I want the Vanguard to move from here to here. So what can I do? I can animate, of course, what he does, or I can just hop in, play.
Oh. So
play.
You're almost your own prop.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot here, record it, and then have the other stuff play out at the tank that does the exact same movement again. Place the camera here, have people running around, and the tank doing his thing.
So you're cutting out the long work of you animating all the different minute. Okay. That's crazy. You know what? That scene where we really cut out the battle scene at the place that's going to happen. I don't want to spoil it, but you know that scene that I think is my favorite of all time with Ricky and or Elias and all of them, but you wanted to cut it down because it was way too hard. Does this mean that it's no longer that hard?
Maybe. There's also
back in there.
we can talk about it once I got this fully figured out, right? This is just like a proof of concept, which I'm going to use in a small test animation. And if that works out the way I want it to work out, maybe we can put it back in. But there are also so many other scenes in that episode, so
yeah, that's true.
I think we should probably leave it out still.
It was, I'm telling you, man, of all the scenes in that season, that's the one. Like, that is the, I don't know. There's some scenes you look back on, you're like, I could have done better there. There's a few that happened in episode 1 that you just showed me. I'm like, I could have made better dialogue, but that scene. The breakout scene to me is gold. It's pure gold. It's comedy, it's action, it's everything. Everything's going wrong. If you can be your own prop, heck, if I can be your prop, like if there's a way for me to I don't know, get like a guest version or something, I'll act out half of that if I have to.
I'm afraid I'm not at that state yet.
Okay.
Like, when I'm that advanced, I will probably be able to do a multiplayer game and have... No, I will never be that advanced in Unreal. It's just not the thing I want to focus on, but...
I'll leave it for now, but
I know that you're the better Vanguard player, Mark.
that scene, if we can make it in all its entirety that it was, it'll go down in infamy.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
But as it stands, it's good.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that was
a lot.
That was a lot.
I hope it was a bit understandable.
Yeah. No,
because
that made a lot
it's
of
hard
sense.
for me to explain everything in like a secondary language, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, not only are you trying to explain what it is you do to someone who doesn't understand what you do, you have to explain it in a language where you might not have all the words.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nuck said that so he can show the POV from the rear and shoot, and then transition to a shot from the front.
Exactly.
Yeah. He said it would be nice to have two people in the same Unity scene. What do you mean? What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
He speaks of another engine, and I think he talks about exactly what. Oh, a multiplayer, basically.
Oh, okay. But that technology doesn't exist, or you just...
It does exist, of course. In theory, you could recreate PlanetSide in Unreal Engine and play it and record it, and then do the animation out of it.
Oh my gosh! Do you know how? Like, you could get all of Sokar's Legion. You could get You could get T-RAF or 2RAF. You could get whole outfits dedicated to entire big battles.
First of all, the devs will definitely not like me recreating PlanetSide in Unreal. Second of all, I don't even know how to get close to being at the point where I can do that. And third of all, I don't even want to do it, to be honest.
I bet you, I'm just theory crafting here, but I bet you if we talk to Verunda and Maelstrom, they might have some ideas as to how we can create a scenario like that. If you can get to the point where all those players log into a server that is connected to Unreal, and then they are participating in that recreation,
that would be kind of cool. But then, why am I not using PlanetSide to the game that already exists and just record it in game? Well, I can't do these cool cameras,
true. But the thing about it is it's the one take scenario. Whereas in the game, you have to have multiple people cameras with OBS, and they have to all be logged in at the same time. They have to get Jaeger accounts. Like it's a whole, it's a huge paperwork thing.
It's still easier than recreating PlanetSide.
Right.
Trust me.
But if you have multiple cameras set up all over the place, then even if you get it wrong, you can still get it right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But as I said, when I say it's possible in theory, I mean
that's
in
me
theory.
Not knowing what it is that you do, telling you how to do it. Nah,
it's
man,
me
that's
not
awesome,
knowing
man.
where to even start.
Flashyy, you blew my mind. I knew that you were good at what you did. Now I understand just how much expertise you have to be that good. That's crazy. Being able to, like, especially when, like, you were looking at the timeline of the keyframes and you were tilting them up and down, I was like, oh my gosh.
It's not that hard to get to this point. And when did I start? I started during the pandemic. You know, you can get to that point in a timely manner.
Wait, you started this? What you're doing now in the pandemic?
Maybe.
Holy crap, man!
Well, you got some time to waste.
Let's get to the part where we start transitioning out, because I'm fanboying. I don't want to be accused of fanboying out. That's nuts. That's super impressive. So there you go, Nuck and everybody else. He's been doing this since COVID hit 2 years ago, and now look, producing crazy ass episodes that look professional.
Not quite, but I'm almost there.
Well, to someone who doesn't understand the mechanics, which is probably most of your viewership, I'd say you're pretty well there. But yeah, let like that dude who was yelling at you for like the chest that wasn't moving, or the
he's not yelling at me. He was just providing some constructive criticism. He was right. And I like to get this kind of feedback from people who like know this stuff and point out some minor things, because that's like the easiest way to improve. Other people showing you where you're doing like not that good.
Right on, man. Thanks for showing me all that stuff. I had no idea it went that deep. That's cool. Being able to, and now that I can see the benefits now of you going to Unreal Engine, and just how much time that might save you in the future. And Nuck, thanks for participating in the chat, man. That I like. Your questions are really good.
Thank you, dude.
So, what else, man? Is there any like shout outs other than all the people who participated in the Echoes? Thank you for that.
I have to shout out you for helping me write. And of course, like Thomas and Wobings doing the music, which was just fantastic. They were awesome to work with, man. They're also also German dudes, so we are kind of on the same wavelength on a lot of stuff. Then we have all the great voice acting, which was just phenomenal in this episode. I was blown away by a lot of by all the parts basically, and Fred was already sharing it on Twitter. Thanks for everyone who like kind of boosts the amount of people we can reach with this project. It definitely adds a lot of motivation. And,
Rail retweeted almost instantly, he messaged it almost instantly. I saw earlier today. That was really cool. If you're watching this, thank you for that. That was very meaningful.
So I hope that this is in the end a promise for more. This is just a bit of exposition and setup for what's to come, and I hope that you enjoy the ride.
I sure did, and I know a lot of the viewers and people who are watching and chatting that they thought it was really cool to see what you were doing in the background. So thanks for showing us what you're doing, man, peeking behind the curtain like that. So I guess we'll go ahead and end it there. I've got a bunch of stuff that I wanted to hit this coming year. And like I said, StratSide 21, we'll go ahead and end it. And this is the last one for the year. Flashyy, thanks for coming out and showing us what you do.
Pleasure.
All right, let's go ahead and hit the ending scene. You know what I'm going to do? Instead of just doing the normal ending and all that jazz, I'm going to go ahead and play the episode. And then when that's done, then we'll be done. All right, everyone, Flashyy and I are going to go dark, and I'm just going to play the episode.
A hatred so deep. An enemy of life itself. This is what the prophet saw, what Vanu warned us about. Vanu said nothing about conquering the non-believers.
But Jorah, who are we to say the prophet is wrong? If others don't believe, maybe they must be forced.
In decades of fighting, how many people believed in Vanu because you held a gun to their head?
Jorah, you must hide. They will not tolerate all the things you say. You will not get a fair trial.
If you truly believe in this, you will not harm any of them. This is my burden to bear, and yours will come soon enough. But for now, live another day. Spread the word.
Your proselytizing of inferior dogma has defiled the Prophet's vision.
The way to unification is peace.
The Prophet has revealed the way of Vanu. It demands no less than total assimilation.
Never in the history of our profitable venture has anyone come before this court who so recklessly caused a heavy loss of resources.
I take full responsibility.
But Dr. Henry Briggs...
In this court, you will address such a reverend figure as the Prophet of Vanu.
The Prophet himself spoke of the warm nature of the Vanu. Surely such enlightened beings wouldn't have required us to solely rely on conquest to unite Araxis.
Destruction of conglomerate property. The death of NC soldiers. A defeat so unprofitable, our insurance policy won't cover it! You will work until this debt is paid.
I know I can never right the wrongs I've made, but give me the chance to find out what the visions mean.
You imply our prophet misinterpreted the way of Vanu at your peril, Initiate Jorah.
But surely there's another way. If the other factions only knew of the threat we're all facing,
Silence!
Vanu visions. The testimony presented earlier today showed little more than a rogue cowboy abandoning a vital NC base.
The liberties you have taken in your misinterpretation do not represent a failure of Vanu, but a failure of yourself.
Such endangerment of resources entrusted to you demands you repay this debt through unusual means.
As such,
we hereby find you guilty.
I get why you turned him in, but did you have to convince Nathan to testify? Now he's getting transferred because of it.
Nathan saw the same thing I did. The commander destroyed our base and got a lot of people killed. We couldn't let him get away with it. Look, I know you and Jenny were close. We can't bring her back, but we can make sure this doesn't happen again.
That's why we need to find out what these visions are. We need the commander, whether he's to blame or not.
And what about that TR commander, Sirius? I heard that it was his unit that attacked North Point.
I'm gonna make him pay.
This is the infamous fool who got North Point 2 destroyed. I was hoping you'd get Geo. You'll find that it's beautiful here, in a scorching, blistering sort of way. Let that be a reminder that you only speak when given permission, and you'll only be answering to pair 781 from now on. Commander Tyler died, along with the rest of those poor souls at North Point. Now, report to the steam site so we can show you your new life.
You may think you got away, but I have something of yours. Meet me at the sanctuary, Commander Tyler. Let's settle this in a civilized manner.
mean, I do have a boost on this character. That's why I'm playing him. Lancer, thank you for the rates. You guys have ammo?